Hey guys, this week I want to address a common objection that I hear for the body, the members being involved personally in outreach. I'm speaking to the individuals today. You know, I hear often, well, what can I do? What difference can I make? And then I get the question oftentimes, well, isn't it the responsibility of the church to provide me with opportunities to go out and fulfill the Great Commission? And I would say, to answer that question, yes and no. We want to look at Ephesians chapter 4, verses 11 and 12, and Paul's writing to the church, and he says, "And he gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, and and teachers to equip the saints for the work of the ministry, for the building up of the body of Christ." So, guys, we have pastors, we have evangelists, those with the gift of evangelism. We have shepherds, teachers, for the equipping of the saints. The saints, that's all of us. If you are a Christ follower, the Great Commission applies to you. And I'm reminded as we're thinking, what can one individual do? Well, history is full of stories that how one person stood up and did something, and the difference that one person made. And usually what happens is it never winds up being just one person. One person stands up and says, I'm going to do this, and then others that were just waiting for somebody to stand up and do something will join in. But I'm also reminded of the story of the little boy that's walking down the beach, picking up starfish and throwing them back in the ocean. The tide had come in, and the beach was just covered with starfish. And so the boy was just picking them up one at a time and throwing them back in the ocean. And this man comes up and says, "What are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're never going to make a difference." And the little boy reached down and picked up a starfish and threw it back in the ocean and said, "I made a difference to that one." Guys, we talk about how Jesus left the 99 for the one. Well, you never know what a difference your actions are going to make for that one. I'm reminded we made a purchase for some for some outreach items that were going to be used, and somebody made the comment, "Well, I just hope it turns out to be worth the money we spent on them." And I get that, but my question is, if that purchase results in just one, is it not worth it? I mean, think about it. If it was your son or daughter, if it was your loved one, what dollar amount would you put on their salvation? And I'm not criticizing the person that asked that question. They were asking it from a business standpoint, because the church, guys, we do have to operate as a business sometimes. But we think about it. God didn't call everybody to be Billy Graham. And if you go back and if you hear the story of Billy Graham and how his whole spiritual heritage, you can trace it back to one man that stopped by the shoe store to visit a member of his Sunday school class and wound up leading that young man to Christ in the stockroom of a shoe store. And those events, that one event led to a chain of events that led to the conversion of Billy Graham and the calling of Billy Graham to his ministry. So you just never know. And remember, if you're a Christ follower, you are called to full-time ministry. See, we have conflated full-time ministry with vocational ministry. Not everybody is going to get paid and be in vocational ministry. But the moment you decide to follow Christ, you are called to full-time ministry. You are on duty every minute of every day. Everything you do is a representation of Christ to the world. And so we have to be aware of that and recognize that the call is a personal and individual call. It's great for your church to offer you opportunities, and I believe churches should offer you opportunities, but the church is not going to offer you the opportunity to be the example that Christ called you to be when you go to the grocery store. That's your responsibility. But let's also think about it this way. There are other organizations in your community that offer opportunities for you to go do the work of the ministry. Even though some of these organizations may not be quote unquote Christian organizations. For example, a crisis pregnancy center. We have several that we partner with. Some are explicitly Christian and tied to a church. Others are not. And we still support them because we can, through their organization, we can do the work of the ministry. Our presence with volunteers there and partnering with them allows us to share the gospel because they don't tell us we can't. I think about that's one, the Rape Crisis Center. We have one in this area that they are not a Christian organization. But almost everyone that works there is a Christ follower. And they encourage churches to recruit volunteers for them because when you're dealing with someone in that situation, there's always the chance that you can offer the hope that Jesus Christ offers in that situation, in that moment. So we can find other opportunities. I encourage you and challenge you to think outside of the context of the church for where you could be doing the work of the ministry. And if you have some, guys, I've just put a couple of examples out there. Do us a favor, leave a comment for other organizations that you're aware of in your area that where you could be involved with the organization, volunteering and pursuing the expansion of the kingdom, pursuing the spread of the gospel through your volunteering in that organization. There's so many great organizations. We have a chance to work with victims of human trafficking. There are organizations out there that deal with that. Some are very Christian, like I said, explicitly, openly Christian. Some are not. But I'm not looking for the organization to do the work of the ministry. I'm looking for an opportunity for me to do the work of the ministry. You're looking for an opportunity for you to volunteer that will put you in places where people would be open to hearing the gospel, where people need help and hope. They need to experience the love of Jesus. So to the one that says, well, it's the church's job, I say, okay, to a point. For the one that says it's not the church's job, I say, okay, to a point. We have a responsibility, and in almost every community there are these organizations, and if there's not, it may be that God's calling you to found an organization, to start a crisis pregnancy center, to start a program or to connect with a national program that works with victims of human trafficking, because, guys, human trafficking is one of those things that it happens everywhere. It would be you'd be amazed if you really understood the statistics and the numbers and where it happens and how it happens. But maybe there are other ideas, maybe it's a foster care organization, where you have the opportunity to become foster parents, and then you have the opportunity to share the gospel with these children that come from sometimes some pretty horrible circumstances. And you wouldn't have that opportunity otherwise, because if they don't have Christian families that foster and adopt these children, those children won't wind up just coming to church. And guys, we understand that the most people, well, let's just put it this way, it seems to be a lot harder for people to come to Christ the older they get. So if we can get them when they're children, I'm thinking about other organizations maybe that work with refugees or immigrants. I know that's a hot topic. Immigration is a hot topic in our culture today, and there are lots of different views and beliefs on immigrants and whether they're legal or illegal, and what is the church's role and responsibility, and how does the church navigate that. But if there are organizations in your community, this is kind of a strange situation for us in America. We have the world coming to us. Okay, so they're here illegally. They still need Jesus. And, my job is not to determine their legal status. My job is to share the gospel with them. There are consequences for their legal status, and that's outside the scope of the Great Commission. The Great Commission means I'm to share Jesus, and I don't look for, okay, is this person everything right about them in their life or not? I mean, think about it. Nobody that comes to Christ is perfect. Nobody comes to Christ without sin in their life. And so we have to just look for opportunities to where we can share the only the help and hope that's found in Jesus. So what I want you to get out of this today is get up, get out, and get involved. The opportunities are plenty, and that's not even counting the ones for every interaction you have. So take this seriously, guys, and let's really get into the fray.